so what we got here? Got 2 excavator buckets. This one fits the U55 KX057 Kubota. This is a Caterpillar bucket. I'm not positive, but I think it fits a 308. I have no idea, but anyway, I bought this one really cheap off the. It says Ritchie Brothers on it, but I think it was the GovPlanet auction site. It's been a while. I've had it here for a while. But anyway, I want to adapt it to work on my machine. This is a 10-inch wide bucket. The cutting edge down there with the teeth is 12 inches, or just over 12 inches. So close enough. I wanted a 12-inch bucket, but everybody's asking crazy money. So found this one pretty cheap. Anyway, going to cut kind of the top edge off of this bucket somehow to sort of match this. That way the thumb lines up. We can put a new set of ears on it. We can't just tack them on the outside because they don't actually line up exactly because of the width of the bucket. So it's kind of offset. So I'll show you more of that when we get to work on this. I've done a few measurements, but anyway, take the plasma cutter, cut the top off this bucket, make us up a new plate and ears out of this 3/4 inch plate I got out here. And we'll see what else we have to weld on, but hopefully it's good enough to clean out some ditches and dig a water line or two before it tears itself apart. But hopefully we can get it stuck together and make something work. So yeah, let's get at it. Alright, so I've got them lined up fairly good with the teeth. But you can see how much bigger this cat bucket is. Now, not sure the best way to go about getting it to line up, but I want this kind of angle. That way the bucket gets its full range of motion to match the Kubota buckets. But I don't know. If we cut this straight at this angle to match, I mean it's going to make it a lot smaller bucket, which is expected, but still I would like to keep it up to like at least here. Maybe I can cut it here and then do my plate. That way I keep the roundness, and from the side it'll look sort of normal. But we're going to cut like right here, maybe straight, hit this angle, and then go to match this angle here. That way when I cut these ears, they'll sit there, plate it. I'll make them match the side. That way this bucket looks rounded when we're done welding it all up. I don't know, it probably don't make much sense here when I'm talking about it, but you'll see when I get going here. So let's get to marking and cutting. So I got these buckets, like I say, sitting kind of lined up, and this is not going to be an exact science. Got me a carpenter pencil, and it lines up pretty good when I lay my little marking pencil here on the bucket. So that's real good. Now that's not an exact mark, but it lines me up pretty good, so at least this gives us somewhere to start. So let's look at it. So there you can see what I'm talking about. The line goes down and kind of curves right there by the cat. So those ears are going to stick up a couple inches above that and be lined up roughly that angle. So I think I can make them look from the side anyway. The bucket will look somewhat symmetrical, unless I wanted to cut the whole back out and weld a whole new back in it, which I don't. So I'm gonna make me some templates, which I think I got somewhere for the ears. We'll hold them up there and kind of line them up, see what we can do here. So I got my template. The ears on that bucket sits about 2 inches proud of the front edge. So if we line this up and go a couple inches past, about right there is where it's going to be. So back here, like I said, it starts rounding down. You can see from my arm. This starts rounding down here. So what I'd like to do is this plate, just make it come back here. You know, like cut this and cut this off. So that way the bucket looks from the side sort of like a normal bucket, because I'm going to cut this out. So I'm going to cut it, say, flat to here, down to here, up, kind of however I make this plate. I can make this plate, I ain't cut it out yet, but I just assumed this would be the rough shape that I would go with. So anyway, that lines up pretty good. I might need to adjust my height from this line a little bit, but I don't think it'll be much. Because yeah, that lines up. That lines up with the top edge of the bucket, so that's perfect. Right there like that, a couple inches proud of the front. We'll get an exact measurement on that. We might cut us a little tail on this to kind of brace it up, or you know, have something else to weld to. But yeah, this will come, I'll mark this here, and then we'll come straight back, and then we'll plate the back section in here. As long as my quick coupler misses, you know, it won't hit anything if I do that. So you know, we might have to drop down a little bit to cut off, but hopefully the bucket still looks sort of symmetrical. So we need to cut us out a set of new ears and cut the top off of this bucket. So let's get to it. (27 5/16). So that should be perfectly straight across, parallel with the bottom of the bucket. Now all we need to do is find this angle, mark that side. I straightened this line up a little bit with the straight edge and eyeballing it off camera, so it's good and straight. Now we're just gonna match the angle to that side. Looks like 35. So let's go mark the other side. Now that should be about the same, but we won't know until we take some more measurements. I just use this little Harbor Freight magnetic angle finder, and the magnet barely would stick to this metal, so can't say how accurate this is here, but we tried. So let's take some measurements and see if we're accurate. So this piece back here looks like a factory cut. I mean, it could be war, who knows, but we're just going to measure off of this best we can. So it looks like 6 7/16. Dang, that's exactly the same. So that's good enough for me. Now I need to decide how I want to make the back side of the ears that go on here. I'll probably just make my pattern and then piece in what I need. I don't know if that's best or not, but seems to be the easiest. But let's look at it for a second. So I measured the ears on that thing, and they stick out about 3 inches past. So I marked 3-inch mark. If I lay that on here roughly, this is about where we're going to land. So I need to decide if I want to put a 3/4 inch plate under this or inside of this. I think underneath it'll be the best, just for clearance for the quick couple, because that's kind of how it's made. So I'll have to move this line up 3/4 of it, or down 3/4 of an inch to make my cut, so I have room for the plate. I might just make the plate and weld the ears to it to get them where I want welded up real good, and then weld it to the bucket. I guess that'll be strong enough. I don't really know, but we'll find out, right? So I'll move this line down 3/4 of an inch before I make my final cut, but right now we'll line it up with their straight edge, and then we'll do this, because that's about where we want to cut. And Back here, about right in here somewhere is where I want to cut the bucket off, because it's double plated on the top. I want to get that out of my way, just so I can put a plate in myself. So back here is where it's going to be cut off somewhere. So probably come through here like this and then up, or maybe just come at an angle from this to this point. I don't know what's the best, but really this is just going for looks at this point, because I'll leave this, plate the bottom of that, weld it in, all in good, and this should help get it a little more solid. We'll plate this top piece in here, so the top edge of the bucket will be sealed up. You know, mud and dirt won't come flying out the back of the bucket, and it'll give it a little more rigid. You know, make it a little more rigid. So I believe this is coming together the way we want. So I'll probably come off right in here somewhere, straight to this point like this. May lower this some and raise this some so it's a little straighter, but you get the idea. Let's get that marked. There we go. Close enough. Now, yeah, I think that's going to look okay. It's not the best, but we'll see. That's about the same, like I say, same measurement as that bucket, and this misses all the internal bracing, you know, like doubled up stuff. This will miss every bit of it, so it should just be a good, nice, I guess this is 1/4 inch plate on both sides. And yeah, the reason I can't put it inside of this plate is it's too narrow. I can't put it exactly on the outside because then it'd be too wide, so it's kind of splitting the difference here, so it's not ideal. But we'll weld it all in, maybe put a plate around the edge of it to give it a little more weld surface. I don't know yet. We'll look at it when we get there and see what happens. There's a little war on the outside edge, so I'm just going to flip the two end ones. That way give me a little more bite out here on the corner, because they're getting pretty wore, but I'll get some more use out of them. I stopped plasma cutting right there. You can see how it's starting to burn. I needed to change out the consumables, but I didn't have any, so I'm gonna run and get some today or tomorrow and take care of that. But I'm gonna go ahead and swap these teeth out real quick. can see how it's rounded off there on the outside, so I'll put the pointier one on this side, and the same over here. It'll give me a little more bite on the outside edge, hopefully. So we'll see what it does. I have a feeling that pin and tooth ain't gonna last long. I put a little bit of weld on that, but I believe that'll be better than what it was. You can see how it looks now. Got them swooped out. Yeah, it's better. Alright, so here it is the next day. I went and got me some consumables at Harbor Freight. So it cost me 50 bucks for one pack of these little caps and that little inner piece. I'm not sure what they're called, but had one pack of each. They have 5 pieces in them, so I can change this out 5 times for 50 bucks. But I made me a little standoff here. I'm gonna try and see if that kind of helps me a little bit. As you can see here, where them consumables are bad, it wasn't even cutting all the way through the plate, because normally it does a good job. So we'll see if this fixes it. If not, we'll hit it with the cutoff wheel a little bit and then cut it. But I've had no problem cutting this 3/4 plate with this before, so I'm assuming it has to be the consumables. So let's get to cut and see what it does. Got me some new gloves while I was over there too. I might eat my other ones up. Let's give this a shot here. I don't know what's wrong with it, but it ain't. Look, I already burnt that tip up. That ain't right. Let's reevaluate this. Well, I'm not sure what's wrong with the plasma, but we're going to the old school way, so let's see how this goes. This ain't gonna be fun. Come on. Alright, as you can see, got one of them cut out, the other one's almost done. Just a little bit left holding on, but still got to get rid of these corners, straighten this up, grind it all smooth. Normally I would have made this a lot more rounded off, but the plasma cutter, still don't know what's going on there, but I ordered a couple new little parts for it, so we'll see. Fingers crossed, get that fixed. But in the meantime, I'm just going to use the cutoff wheel, cut these, grind them all smooth, and try to get these plates ready to weld. Then we'll have to cut out a plate to go in the bucket. As you can see, I've had a lot of hurdles going along with this because I didn't have the plasma cutter, so been frustrating. Cost more money, a lot more time. So yeah, I can see the benefits of the plasma for sure on stuff like this, but if I knew that that was going to happen, I would have just bought a set of these. It'd been a lot easier and a lot cheaper. So anyway, let's get to cutting and grinding on this and try to get these things ready to go in this bucket, because I want to get this thing together and get some use out of it. So let's get it. So again, got me a new grinder. It's a Dewalt 11 amp. This thing's a beast compared to my little, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 amp Bauer. I don't even know what it was, but yeah, so far this has been great. My big grinder, I don't know if the arbor's bent on it or if it was just a bad blade, a cutoff wheel, but it had a lot of bounce to it the other day. So picked this one up because I burnt my little one up, and I always use a little grinder. So this has been a really good one so far. So anyway, let's get these cut off here, and we'll get to grinding on this thing. Alright, so this is the plate that I had already drilled the hole in with the mag drill. I did that so I could use the plasma cutter and just zip the circle out, but well, we see how that went. So I had to plug this hole. I just went out and found me a tree branch, drove it in with a hammer, and I'm going to center punch the hole where I want it, and hopefully that wood is strong enough to hold my drill bit centered to get this started. And then I'll let itself cut through, because there we go. You know, it won't center up because I don't got a drill press. The mag drill, I don't have a bit big enough for that. I got a chuck for the mag drill, but I'd have to space it way up. So I don't know what the easiest route is other than this right here, and just use the hole saw on the drill. The battery drill actually has done better than my electric drill so far. So now the electric drill did cut the big holes and I burned it up, but that one didn't even get hot drilling that other hole. So we're gonna see if we can't knock this one out, and we're done past the hard stuff if we get that drilled out, and then we can just kind of take our time grinding on it and smooth it up, getting everything squared up. So yeah, let's get to it. So far, not so good. So let's cut that off. We'll drill down into this block that's under here and see if that'll hold it enough. I was hoping that would, but don't think so. Okay, I believe that one's going to work, but it's not hot. I can sort of feel some warmth, so I'm just going to let this cool completely down. I don't want to burn this drill up, so we'll let that sit for a few minutes. That was not worth it. I should have just bought these. If I know the plasma cutter wasn't going to work, yeah. I mean, I still got a long way to go with grinding and everything to get these lined up right, but my God, that was ridiculous. I was killing out every drill I had. Burnt one of them up. Burnt up a grinder. I didn't want to mess my second drill up. Can't do this with the mag drill, like I say, so I burned up the hole saw for this, so had no choice left but to try to break it out of there. And it's a little offset, but I think we can fix that. Let's set these up here and look at them and see if they line up pretty good. So not bad at all, actually. The holes are lined up, just some grinding to smooth them out. You know, there's no real, don't really need to move them one way or the other. You know, the holes are lined up pretty good, just what was left that broke out and stuff like that. But I'm pleased with them, but Lord, if I had the plasma cutter, this would have been a breeze. Don't do it like this. This is way too much work. And plus, I didn't really save any money because I burned up a drill in the process and a grinder. So, yeah. Could have just bought these, but I had the metal and thought I had the plasma cutter, but I did order some more stuff for it. Hopefully it'll be fixed. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, let's get these ground down and smoothed out so we can actually see if we can weld them on the bucket. I still got one more cut to make on this plate, but it's just a straight cut. So hopefully we can do that with the cutoff wheel and not be too big of an issue. So yeah, let's get at it. Alright, so I got these pretty well lined up. All the important surfaces all line up good. I shouldn't have no problem. The pin's the worst one, but the two mating surfaces for the quick couple will line up really good. I just hit the rough stuff around the edges. It still needs some more fine tuning, but I think the only thing left to do is kind of put a little bit of a bevel on the bottom for my weld, and then I'll cut out the plate for these to weld to that goes on top of the bucket next. So yeah, finally made it to this point. Been a rough ride, but we made it. My stuff for my plasma cutter should be in Monday, and this is Thursday, so still got a few days on that, or I would have used the plasma cutter. I didn't really feel like waiting, so we just went ahead and done it the hard way. Anyway, it's done. Let's cut this plate out, get this stuff lined up, and do some welding. I can't wait to get this thing in the dirt. Alright, so we got our lines marked. That's our square right there that we need. I guess more rectangle, but anyway, it goes on top of the bucket to hold the ears. Let's cut it out. Is it possible to bend the arbor on these big grinders like this? I mean, it's an older one, but still, I doubt you can see it, but watch right here. Now I've took everything apart, cleaned everything, make sure there's nothing out of line, but I noticed it wobbling the other day, and it keeps breaking these cutoff discs, and also it'll vibrate when you're trying to grind with it. So yeah, I wouldn't have thought it'd been so easy to bend that, but I guess if you drop it just right, it might. But yeah, I don't think this is any good anymore. Well, that's about what we're going for. It's just sitting together right now, but got my plate cut out, left me some room on the edge to weld, and yeah, been a lot of work getting here, a lot more than I expected by not having that plasma cutter. But anyway, I'm gonna do a little bit more fine tuning on the bottom of these, grinding them so I have a place to put a little bit of bead of weld. And we'll clean that bucket up, grind it a little bit, and see if we can't slap this thing together. Alright, so got the plate sitting on here. I've done some grinding on the bucket to try to level it up and make sure everything sits good and square and nice and neat. And it actually is lined up really, really well. So it's all centered up. Everywhere you feel a little lip, it's all centered. It's actually really straight with the cutting edge. So that leads me to believe the bucket will be pretty straight. I mean, it might be off just a little bit, but oh well, we'll fix that. But what I've got planned here is, I'll show you, kind of like that's what it's going to look like. Well, hopefully not too bad, but these stick over, you know, just like on the other bucket, 3 inches. The measurements all kind of work out the same, so the thumb should line up really good. Now back here, I'll probably just plate from this 3/4 plate to here, and I'll just leave these little wings sticking up just to give me some more welding surface. I might can cut them down, you know, like this to the plate, you know, whatever looks nice. But for right now, I'm just going to leave it like that. I think that'll work okay. But I got a little bit more cleaning up on the weld to do. You know, get a little bevel around on the edge of the bucket, get rid of some of the slag, and same thing on these ears, bevel them a little bit, get them all tacked up, and weld this thing up good and solid, get her in the dirt. Let's get at it. Alright, I got everything sanded down pretty good. The plate, these ears, I even made this little piece to kind of go in here, weld in, so give a little more support. But other than that, let's start lining it up and tagging it together. Drove it up. Well, I see my problem. Measure twice, cut once. So I run over there and quickly measured the bucket. And I measured 9 5/8 in my head. It's actually 9 1/8. I come over here and mark this 9 5/8. No idea why. I knew it wasn't going to be flush with the edge, but I measured, welded it up anyway. But gonna knock these tacks back loose, move these in a little bit, re-tag it. Let's get it. Am I doing this right? Yep. Okay. Perfect. I mean, probably a little sloppy, but oh well. It fits. Alright, so it's time to finish this thing. I've dicked around long enough on it, wasted lots and lots of time on that, so I'm going to weld this up, get this thing out of here today. I'm done fooling with it, and plus I need it. So it keeps raining, ditches, a few of them needs cleaned out, so a lot easier with this than a 2-foot bucket. So let's get to it, get this thing out of here. So I got my oil brace in, got my magnet holding it good and square. It's lined up good and flush with the top, so let's glue that in. Yeah, I got a few tacks on it now. We'll take a few measurements. I just eyeballed that. It seems pretty straight, so if you look at it from the top lined up with the cutting edge, it's pretty straight. So I believe that's close enough. And yeah, all I gotta do is fill this in. We'll kind of plate from here to here is it. That way rainwater will run out, and I'll just leave these little ears sticking up just to kind of make it look normal on the outside. So yeah, let's do some welding. Not sure what you can tell by looking, but the hole for the pin, the ears are too far back. The quick coupler or ears that I made could go forward just a little bit more, so that would actually move this hole forward some. So what I think I'll do is just grind a little bit out right there, so this can go back a little farther, the coupler can slide forward a little farther. And I won't take that much, just I'll keep taking a few little layers off until the pin will go in, and it should be good enough. But I want them ears tight that way, so I think that would be the best, is just to loosen that up a little bit so that'll slide forward instead of wallering this hole out and leaving the bucket a little more floppy up here. So we'll see if that fixes it and tightens the bucket up at the same time. So right to the edge of where we've ground there, basically, as far as we want to go. And that's just a rough estimate, but we'll take it out somewhere from the bottom to right there. And we'll do both sides like that. See where the thumb is hitting the bucket, so need to trim a little bit out of this, that way the thumb can go all the way kind of between the teeth. So we'll eventually cut that out, but right now I just wanted to make sure it worked and it was on there. So not too bad, not the best looking bucket, but not horrible. And I'm gonna cut the plate and weld in the back here in a few minutes, but kind of wanted to just test the fit and make sure there was no clearance issues if I did weld a plate in, which there's not. Yeah, I think it's gonna work out all right. We'll go ahead and mark where the thumb's hitting though, just to have a mark to go by. But yeah, and it clears the teeth. It might be a little bit crooked, but it's not bad. All right, get this thing welded on up. Alright, so here's what we've ended up with after all our work. Looks pretty good to me. The welds are wonderful, you know, because I'm so good at that. Anyway, kind of learned myself to weld, just here, you know, so it'll stick. I don't care what it looks like. But yeah, she's together. Hopefully it don't rip itself apart, but the next logical thing to do is go test it out. So let's get down here and get some dirt out of the ditch, see how she does. So there she is. I know it needs a coat of paint, maybe 1 or 2 more little welds here or there, and then I'm gonna cut out the little spot for the thumb so it'll close in closer to the teeth. But yeah, so far I think it's a success. I cleaned out some of my ditch through there. You can probably see I was digging in the rock and stuff pretty good. Just trying to give it a little work through and make sure nothing was going to fall apart on it. And she's still hanging together, so that's what we was after. Now, like I say, I'm not the best at welding. It's going to stick together, I think, and we'll start looking for cracks and stuff here eventually on it, make sure it ain't going to break apart. But yeah, so far I'm pleased with it. Got what I paid for, I guess. Probably should have just bought a bucket, but with the time and materials I had in this thing, you could have probably about bought one. So yeah, oh well, I saved some money, some. Guess that does it for this one. So let's get on something else.